The morning after her final wish, the world felt different. Like when you wake up after a dream, you can't quite remember, but everything seems a little brighter, a little warmer. The shy girl, who had always blended into the background, felt this more than anyone. Where once she'd been invisible, now people seemed to be smiling. Not the tight smile you give when you don't want to upset someone, but the kind that reaches their eyes, crinkles their forehead, and makes them look a little sillier. The grumpy shopkeeper who never looked up from his newspaper gave her a nod. Her teacher, who always seemed tired and a bit cross, walked into class humming a tune. Even some of her classmates who had passed by like ghosts, ignoring her existence, now waved to her as if they'd always been friends. But the biggest change was within her. Gone was the crushing weight of fear. The voice that had whispered in her ear, "You're not enough. You're not enough to be seen, to be heard, to be anything," had gone silent. In its place was a quiet warmth, like a tiny firefly glowing in the darkness, a belief planted and blooming, growing bigger and stronger with each passing day like the first buds of spring. She went to school, feeling lighter than air. A butterfly fluttered in her chest. She helped a classmate who struggled with reading. She walked a little slower so she could pick up the fallen books of the girl with the bright pink backpack. She even spoke up when the boy with the mischievous grin tried to trip someone on the stairs. She didn't have powers. She could only do what anyone could. But for her, that was enough. Weeks passed, the notebook never returned, and she never looked for it. She didn't need it anymore. Then one day, a small boy appeared at her door. His cheeks were smudged with dirt, his shoes torn, his eyes filled with the same fear that had once been her constant companion. He said nothing. He just held out a wrinkled piece of paper. It wasn't the notebook, but it had the same strange glow. On it was scrunched and smeared with dirt, but she could make out a single word written in shaky handwriting: hope. She didn't ask him how he found her. She simply nodded and invited him inside. That night, while he slept on her couch, she looked at the glowing page. It was fading. No, it wasn't the magic. The magic had moved on, not vanished. It had become part of her, and now it was ready to be passed on. She placed a hand over the paper and whispered the word he had written. Hope. In the blink of an eye, the page faded, but the boy began to glow faintly, like a candle just lit. His shoulders relaxed. He smiled in his sleep. The next morning, he ran to her. "I don't know why," he said, breathlessly, "but I think today's gonna be a good day." She walked him to school. As they parted ways, she felt it, the same warmth, the same quiet magic living in him. And so from that day forward, she made it her mission not to grant wishes, but to help others see that the wishes they thought they wanted were owned, the ones they truly needed. The magic wasn't about flying or shining lights or having everyone like you. It was about finding the courage to be yourself, the kindness to help others, and the quiet power of a hopeful heart. She still missed the notebook sometimes. The soft leather, the silver clasps, the way the pages whispered secrets. But every time someone smiled after meeting her, every time someone stood a little taller, every time someone chose kindness over fear, she knew the magic had never really disappeared. It was spreading, one wish, one heart, one brave little spark at a time.